Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're here and we're maybe live, depending on when you're catching this, or maybe afterwards. We've been recorded and edited this up. Fist bump to everyone on arrival. But we've got a very special one today. We are joined by two living heroes and legends doing God's work at Sorare HQ. And we've got Momo and Paul joining us today. Pleased to see you guys. Welcome to the channel.
Thanks a lot for having us, and happy to share this little discussion with your community.
Hey Quinny, hi everyone. Pleasure to be here, and very excited.
Yeah, I think we all are. Both you guys are very well known in the Sorare community through all the kind of work that you guys do. And we'll get into that a little bit as well, of course. But I'm sure everyone that will be tuning into this will be really glad to put some names and some faces to the old Twitter accounts that are running around causing havoc every other weekend or so, depending on how their teams have done, or depending on how the F1 has been doing for Paul, perhaps a little bit as well. But I think just to kind of open us up to this, we've got a little kind of flow plan of what we'll be going through. But Paul, welcome to the channel. It's your first experience of doing one of these in English as well. So thanks very much for blessing the channel with your presence on this one. We really appreciate it. But would you like to start just by sharing a little bit about yourself and the work that you get up to in the live ops department?
Yep. So I joined Sorare about 3 years ago, and I joined the support team. And after 1 year in the support team, I moved to the product team, especially game ops. From the game ops, I added to my scope the live ops. So the live ops it consists in creating more fun, more engagement around the competitions, the product. So mainly special events. So the special calendars that we release each month. And yeah, I also do the game week opening. So that means setting up the prize pool, setting up the right competitions at the right time, and the game week closing. It's a bit of a more technical process that I do with the data and the technical team, the engineering team. And so yeah, my Tuesdays and Fridays are pretty busy with those teams, and I focus the rest of my time on creating and developing with the other teams more fun rules around special weeklies. So you've already seen some of them since July and August, and we're on track for many new ones, especially in the November calendar. What else can I say? Yeah, that's already maybe a lot, and yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And I think when I seen live ops in here and game week closing and that kind of thing, I definitely didn't have a full understanding of what that meant. Well, over the last couple of years, you've also been involved in more the mechanical part of the game weeks and everything else from the most part. Were you playing Sorare before you came into the company, or were you brought in to work first and then play second?
No, I was playing. I was playing a little bit. I'm more playing now. As you can see, I've never been as active as during this season, which I think is super exciting with the new model and the new special events. And well, to be honest, I think we're in a better place now with the gameplay than we used to be. The divisions are very exciting, and yeah, so yeah, I'm fully playing the game now, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, love
I think a lot of people are doing too. Like Momo is playing a bit the game. Yeah. He's not very good at it,
but well, Momo's working first, isn't he, and then playing second. Maybe a little bit of both there, because definitely on my Twitter timeline, Paul, you're definitely the Sorare employee that posts the most winning screenshots in my book, certainly. So you're definitely doing well, mate. Good to see, and yeah, love it. And then Momo as well. So you're a lot more involved in the community aspect of the company. I had to kind of set up also for the product marketing role and that kind of thing. But do you want to let us know a little bit more about you and your role at Sorare?
Yeah, exactly. I joined the Sorare 1 year and a half, and actually Paul was the one interviewing me for my first interview, so he could have decided to reject me, and I would never have landed here. But yeah, so I joined the support team first, just like Paul, for a few months, and then I joined the dance team that many of you also know as a face of the community and of Sorare. So yeah, I joined his team to work like on the community side and product marketing. So obviously there's a lot of aspects that are linked to the community, how we announce the new features, how we escalate feedback, how we engage with our community, and you saw that you see that Paul and I do a lot of this work. And there's another side to it, which is more about like product marketing. So how we can attract new managers, how we can help the product team to create an experience that is delightful for the existing community and also for new managers we could attract to grow the platform. So there's a lot of work on this side too. And yeah, for example, right now we are really focused in trying to educate more people around Sorare and what is Sorare, etc. So it's really good that we have you, because you're a good example of
Thank you.
the work that our creators and community do in onboarding new managers. I know that you created a brand new video just a few days ago for like really to get started, etc. So it's a really important aspect of like what we are trying to achieve, because like I think we all agree that Sorare is a really great game, really really great, and that if more people understand it, like because it's not like that easy to apprehend in the first place, but if more people understand the core concept of it, we may have like a million user potential platform. So that's what we're trying to achieve.
I'm definitely on the same page as you there in terms of the potential of everything and all the rest of it. And yeah, I'm hopeful that that's one of the last beginner videos that I need to make, because I think I've made about 8 or 10 of them. And every time I make one, somebody changes something. And then it means the whole video is now pointless and needs to go in the bin. So I'm hopeful now, because I actually noticed on the last, I did one in July, and it was like opening up the account, like as if you'd never touched it before, you know, and going through that process. And I must admit, when I done that, I was like, wow, I genuinely don't think I need to make too much more of a video on this, because it's very intuitive now. It's very, like, very good at holding your hand. It's creating your account and helping you to kind of navigate the opening segments of the platform and everything. So yeah, hopefully that's one of the last ones that we need to make. But I think he's done a good job in like taking that burden away from the video, if that makes sense, and putting it more into the game. So
No,
I'm
definitely.
definitely,
I think the timing of this one is really good, because like we operated the major changes recently, and now the game is more stable. So it's really good timing, and we're also looking to enhance this aspect in the product. Like maybe have, I don't know, a community hub in replacement of the blog, something more proeminent in the products, where your videos would be featured, community content, etc. To have something like we have an incredible community which creates, and we have a lot of content, etc. So it's definitely the right timing to double down the efforts on this side.
yeah. For me, one of the big things that's made Sorare the success it is to this stage, and the thing that I really enjoy about it, like from what I do, is like the community aspect of it. And you know, we're here doing a wee bit of a live record with the members on the channel. We've got a few people sitting live chilling with us now, which is great. And we got a bunch of them to submit some questions for us for today, to see, like, you know, where we're going to have some of the guys that have got their hands dirty with Sorare over the last year. And yeah, we got some questions fired over to do with, you know, the changes we've seen in the innovations, and just get a bit of insight from you guys about how you see things develop and how they've been working and all the rest of it. You mentioned divisions, Paul, at the kind of opening part of this. I found divisions a very exciting revelation in the game. Like, I think it's the theory behind it and the implementation of it is really sound, is really solid towards like trying to get different people winning and trying to make you feel like even without a team of 5-star tier players, you could be somewhat successful in whatever segment of the game you're in. And the first question we've got is actually to do with the divisions, and it's, has divisions gone to plan? And do you see more actual individuals winning now versus before, which is maybe one of the core concepts of the divisions, is to help different managers pick up rewards?
Well, I think divisions are I've been so it's been a lot of work, and it took time to find the perfect solution, and we're still not at the perfect solution, but it's already very good and a very good improvement compared to what we had. Like, the leaderboards are smaller, you're competing in your division against less people than before. So of course there are more winners. For example, you take the number of podiums. Before, for challenger, you had only one podium. Now you have 5 for limited. So 15 people are ending up on the podium. We have 50% of the players in season winning boxes, and the boxes, as you know, they're a path to a reward now. And we have 25% of classic. And something that people tend to forget is that, yes, there are 50% of in-season people, managers winning boxes, but that number is really, really small compared to the 25% of classic lineups. But yeah, obviously, and overall, I think there are a lot more winners. Divisions also allow you to, like, you start, and it's not only about this game week, it's about you want to progress and go from division 4 to division 3, go up to get the best rewards. And also something I find very important, because you play a bit on the stress, like, let's say, a bit of frustration, you absolutely don't want to go down, because it's a nightmare, and it adds a lot of, some would say frustration, but I think it's also a lot of fun trying to avoid and keeping an eye on the leaderboard until the last minute, because you don't want to go down, you want to compete for the best rewards. And yeah, the objective of everyone is to go to the top divisions, where obviously prizes are very exciting. You get the star players, the star cards in classic, you get the most money in season. The boxes are better, of course, there. So yeah, everyone wants to be in D1, but not everyone can go there.
Yeah.
And just to add one little thing about that, like we also saw that the team made a great job at implementing a first patch during this transition period we had. Like when we implemented the division in the first place, we saw that there were some adjustments needed because the upper division weren't that attractive, and they reacted quickly in implementing a patch that like worked because we now see that people aim for the top divisions, the top rewards, and at the same time, if you begin the game, you need less points in Division 5 to get your box or your reward. So yeah, I think this new division system adds an extra layer of fun, which is great. And if further adjustments are needed to make it even more perfect, they will be implemented in due time. But
Yeah, I would also say it adds an extra layer of strategy. Like, sometimes you see people, they don't want to get relegated, so they play in Division 3, which ends up being a very good decision. Some game weeks, it's a very bad decision. Yeah, like, it's more strategy, more fun, more depth, I think. And of course, the system isn't perfect. We will improve it, and yeah, there's still some work to do, but we're pretty satisfied with this system. I think it's a good improvement compared to last year.
Yeah, I definitely think so, and I like the added decision-making process that comes with it now, because before, like, it was a bit stale in terms of the regionality of it, and like under 23 and All-Star is really your own, or maybe caps were your only like strategy choice, where to put the best card or where to put your bigger team. Whereas now you've got, like, you still have that a little bit, but you even have it within like the region itself. You know, do you feel D1 capable, or are you going to play safe and just go into a division that could be okay, and if you got relegated, it's not going to hurt you, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I
Yeah,
definitely agree.
there's something like we haven't started yet working on that, but sometimes it's a bit frustrating, and this is a point of improvement for us. Like, you start the game now and you start in D5, and it's a long way to D1. Maybe we can think of game items or game concepts that allow you to go up faster, but if you take a risk, then you're punished much more. Like there's much more work to do. There are various ideas we have, and I think just as always, like next year is going to be even better, and we will have a better system for sure.
But no, it's good to hear that there's still room for tweaking it and stuff like that. And we've already seen some of the tweaks, like you mentioned before, when people were actively avoiding D1 and they were going to the lower divisions, and now it's much more of a kind of level playing field in that regard. The rest of the questions I've got here, I'm just trying to see if there's anything that ties into that quite specifically. I've got one here. Is there any actual plans for any iterations or developments on divisions as yet? I know you mentioned there that like, I've got a series on the channel now called Zero to Hero, from that video I told you where I did the opening of it, and trying to go through that user experience. And I'm taking that account in that kind of way where you're starting in D5 and trying to go up. And I've already noticed that, like, once you get to like limited, this would be for a very modest budget, quite a small squad. Once you get to like Division 3, that is really when you feel like the competition really comes in and you're really looking at the leaderboard so much. It's interesting to hear you're thinking of efforts to help people that maybe are like really trying to push on, but maybe not having that luck. So I'm trying to think of how to swing this back around to a question, because there's a question here you've maybe have given me an answer for. But I guess part of this as well was like how divisions have went so far. Has it went to plan, or has it been better than you expected? Was it harder than you expected? Like in terms of what we've seen so far this season?
I think we don't have the final version yet, but overall it's been a good implementation and a good improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I think we're really happy with the results and what we have right now, and we may do some tweaks later to improve it more. But like the system works as it is, and as we promised, we won't do big changes outside of the new gameplay windows we have. So if we have to do some tweaks, it will be like later. But the current division is clearly great, and we're really happy to see that like communities on board and enjoying the system. So
and one last thing, I've heard that some people with Real Madrid stats are blocked, like they're stuck in D2, but maybe they're not good enough, and they need to add more variety to their stack and try to get to D1. And well, if they're stuck in D2, it's because they don't make the best decisions on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I love a good dig at a stack, so I'm all about that. Again, like there's a few questions here that I could maybe wrap into one, maybe come away from divisions slightly. We had a few questions on like coins and club shop and all the rest of it, and we've kind of seen, I think, a lot of that now. But the questions we have here was, have we seen all of the club shop replacements roll out? The future of coins is kind of, I think it's now redundant, isn't it? Like coins are gone now, aren't they? So yeah, have we seen all of the replacements for the club shop kind of come in? Is it just a case of suck the coins out, do this thing, and then is there going to be another in-game mechanism for tickets, hoodies, shirts, and whatever else?
So yeah, I think we've seen like the replacement of the club shop is obviously the essence. Like in the way we imagine the club shop, it was a way to grind so coins, and at the end you can win the item we put on the club shop. But now the essence, we've put, I think, more thought and more focus, more priority into the essence system, which is, in my opinion, a very, very good replacement. The economy is well thought, and yeah, like so I've worked personally on the club shop closing that is happening now. Like if you want to go and spend your coins on t-shirts, tickets, there are plenty of them. Like I think more than 1,000 or maybe 2,000. I can't even remember, but there are a lot of stuff given out. So yeah, and the essence is like much better, as you can have a pass to card rewards every game week. Like before, you had 10 game weeks that are not very, let's say, you're not performing very well during 10 game weeks. There's no reward. Now you're not so well performing during 10 game weeks. You get a little bit of essence every time. And if you want to win a card, then you can just use the essence in the Sorare industry, and you can get a very good card. You can choose at what threshold you want to spend those essence. Yeah, so basically the essence is, in my opinion, the replacement of the club shop.
So would we see in Sorare Industries or the factory an option to spend 300 essence and get Orlando v Atlanta tickets, for example?
It's not planned, but it's an option we have. We'll see if we go down that road, but yeah, maybe,
But for sure, those kind of rewards won't disappear. Like the plan is to make sure that we reward those tickets, jerseys, Sorare merch, etc., through the Sorare competitions and special events, etc. So for sure, we'll continue to distribute those, but not through the club shop, and maybe through another way later. But
through the factory. It was just when you said essence there, it made me think of something that I hadn't considered already in terms of how it might be relocated on the website. One thing I thought a lot of these things would have ended up in was boxes. To be honest, I thought we might have found more tickets in boxes, more jerseys or signed merch and stuff like that. Maybe just creep their way into 1-star boxes, 2-star boxes, you know, whatever, to kind of beef up the variety that comes out of them, as well as like people just don't want power ups, you know, like for the most part, you know, they're okay. I don't mind them, but I think when you've got enough of them, it's something that a player gets tired of quickly, I think. Whereas I don't think it matters how long you've been playing Sorare. If you open up a box and a shirt comes out, a t-shirt, a pair of socks, you're always going to be happy or excited, at least, like, oh, look what I got, you know, versus the power up thing. After 5 of them, you're probably not bothered anymore.
No, for sure, we'll add those items, those type of rewards to the boxes. I don't know what amount of those items we're gonna put in boxes, but we'll add more variety. And yes, but you were talking about level ups. You always have to find a balance between valuable items and let's say valuable items and very exciting items. You can't always give very exciting items to everyone. Then the economy doesn't work, the balance doesn't work, let's say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we also need level ups.
I definitely get you need some booby prizes in there. I think it's just the fact that it is like it's that or essence, if you know what I mean. And it's just like
I agree.
Like
But
if I got a booby prize that was like a pair of socks, you know, that's a wee bit, well, at least it's a pair of socks, you know, or something. So that was all. I think we all know that you can't have the boxes like pouring stuff out every box, no matter what. But it's just that, yeah, variety is probably the main kind of thing there. On that note, actually, this isn't any of the questions, so I'm sorry, right? But one thing it came up to me on stream the other day that I thought I would just put on you now is I was looking at my card factory and I wanted to speak to people about how many cards I've made and how much essence I've had this season. And somewhere, could we have a wee page where we see like craft history or something like that, where I could click on it and it could show me all the cards I've made, you know, or something like that? Just I don't know, just a wee thing that came to me the other day and I thought I would put you on the spot with it. But just a wee button somewhere where you can see your history, like what you've made. So a wee thought.
No, that's that's a good idea that we can have something like that. I think that we added something quite recently, which is a little icon next to your card in your gallery to show you how from where it comes, like if it's crafted, rewarded, etc. So it's a first step, but yeah, something like that could happen, or we could also imagine like a recap at the end of the year, like your Sorare year, where these kind of data could be
Yeah,
featured. Yeah,
it was.
that would be nice.
Is the only thing that the icon doesn't help you with is if you sell the card. So then if you're going to try and look back, like how much essence did I get this year, and
True.
did I do all tier 5 pools? Did I do a tier 3? And then trying to, it's just people, it's more something else to spend time on,
So
you know.
you want some kind of accounting page?
No, well, just from a factory. Just I want to see what that factory's giving me this year. How many oranges, how many apples.
Makes sense.
We like this is the kind of improvement we will probably do. All those little improvements, they take time. We need to prioritize stuff over other ideas, other projects. But I'm pretty sure this is doable, and this is something you'll see in the future. Maybe not next week, but
Yeah.
maybe in 3 months. Who knows?
Yeah, that sounds great. I say it was only something that occurred to me a few days ago, and it came back to me just now, so I thought I'd bring it up before I forgot. So the first one here that I've got is plans on varying the rules for specials to not be so in-season reliant. So I think it was when the Champions League and the Europa League specials were announced. A lot of people assumed that would have been, I don't know what the assumptions were, but I don't think anyone expected it to be 4 in-season cards, cash and cards, master leaderboard, big deal kind of thing. I think people, if they'd expected the reward pool to be cash and cards and that big master leaderboard, there might have been less of a, rather than it been 4 in seasons like we see at the weekend, it might have been 3 or perhaps even 2 or something like that. I don't know. We've seen that be quite consistent throughout a lot of the special weeklies, not all of them, but pardon me, certainly the ones where there's cash payouts in them. Is there any scope or any plans for those criteria to be relaxed as the time goes on, or is that something that's that's the way it is?
No, it depends. So to go back to the let's say the European specials, the European nights. So the like when we thought about it, we wanted to mark the new model, like to show in season from on one side and classic on the other side. Of course, the in season prize pool was super generous as we added cards on top of the cash rewards. But that was only for the beginning. Like the rest of the season, it's going to be obviously cash for in season and cards for classic, as our new model is. But sometimes, like for example, the early access special event, when you needed some special edition cards, you only needed one, and we rewarded some cash. But we've heard the feedback, like the first let's say match days of the European nights, we only had a special event for the Champions League, and we added on the next match day, we added a classic version of the special event. So we hear the feedback and we act on it. But the model is mainly like cash for in season and card rewards for classic. That won't change much, but there will be some exceptions to it. What can I say? Like we've heard the feedback on the All Star. Like people wanted more places to play their cards. We've added All Star to every midweek now. So there's still a way to mix your players from different regions and win Mbappe. Well, now Yamal is obviously more
Right.
exciting, but that can change.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah. So I think we've made some positive changes for the community on that part. We'll continue to do so, but the business model is quite clear, I think, for everyone, and it's more sustainable like that. So there will be on one side in season, on the other side classic, and sometimes some exceptions where we mix and relax the requirements. Yeah.
Because if I can be straight with you, when I first seen the prize pool, like the first one where it was cards and money, I think a part of the messaging that came with it as well is like the Champions League is the biggest club competition, so it should be like a really hefty Sorare competition. And I think if it was done without it needing 4 in seasons at Rare Unlimited, if it was like 3, I think you could have kept it the way it was, to be quite honest with you. Like, and I liked the feeling of it being like supercharged, like this is the Champions League game week. But
Yeah.
I think when people see, because it kind of comes into another question that we'll talk about in a minute, but a lot of players, or every player, is going to end up with classic cards at some stage, and especially if they're good cards and it's a collection you want to roll with, there's a fair chance that those players will play in UEFA competitions. And if you're taking, maybe this season, it's not too much in the focus, maybe next year it maybe will be a little bit more. But if you're requiring users to hang on to classic cards and love and own them and then continue to use them, I think that would have been a good opportunity to maybe have a bridge where it's not totally an in-season thing, 4 in-season cards. It's not classic either, but it's only card payout. It's maybe somewhere in the middle where you need the users to go out and obviously buy new cards, get in-season versions, of course. But because it is the Champions League, the team they had last year finished second, that collection they had, that they've got guys up now to level 12 and level 15. And it just, because I like the idea of it being like a super special weekly, like cards everywhere, money everywhere, boxes everywhere. People are going nuts in the midweek. And I think what you've done now is like it fits in with the rest of the game, but it doesn't really feel Champions League anymore. It just feels like it's the midweek competition now, and this is where you play with a Champions League player, and this is where you play with a Europa League and a Conference League player, rather than maybe what you were going for in the first place, which was this is the biggest competition in club football, so it should be really big for us. So I've just been honest with you. That's kind of how I feel about it in general. Like I think you could do it the way you had it if you'd maybe tweaked it a bit. If that was maybe the most important thing, I don't know, but because that kind of comes into, I suppose, in our question. So I'll maybe just bring that up and then we can maybe round them two things in together. But it is any plans and thoughts towards making classic more appealing? So part of the thing that's going on now, of course, across the community is a lot of people are moving into in-season. A lot of people see the main value in the game is playing the in-season format. And like classic cards, or people who have larger galleries now see less of a use, less of a reason to have such a robust gallery with the classic cards that they're very limited to using in those in-season competitions, or in classic where it is like it's very difficult even with good teams. Like classic is very difficult. So is there any thoughts or plans on any of the evolution that might happen with classic?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, no. No, I don't think there's a major change that is planned for classic, or to add cash or anything like that there. I think one of the main thing we have to be better at telling our managers is that like essence is really a huge thing and a huge addition to the game, because rewarding 25% of a leaderboard is quite fair. Like you if you perform like decently, you will get your box, and you'll get reward, which is like your road to the to a reward. And if you wait until the last milestone, well, you're guaranteed a T1 or a star. So I think that's really huge. And even if I tell you about my own Sorare experience, so I started playing like 1 year ago when we announced the new code of conduct in the company, with like a few lineups. And I think that like maybe for 3 months playing with maybe 2 or 3 teams per weekend, I got like 1 T5 in 2 or 3 months, because that was the gameplay we had. And now with essence, like it took me 3 game weeks to gather enough essence to craft a tier 3 plus card, which is something I would never have won in such a short time frame with the old gameplay. And I got this essence from my classic competition, because it's not that difficult to get essence from there. So I think like community is realizing more and more that how essence is a great addition to the game. And that's like a big part of classic competitions, plus the cards that you can win there, the cash podiums, etc. But I think it's quite a good balance, and of course, it's the new model that is really sustainable, really more sustainable for us, and put us in a great position for the future. So I think we're quite good on this side.
Yeah, and I have to say it's hard to reward a big part of a big tail in the classic because there are just so many users, and like some of them they're playing the multi-entry at full strength, like 3 lineups. Often the third or second lineup isn't that good, and it's just increasing the numbers. So it's playing on the perception. Like you think there are less rewards, but in reality there are not so many competitive lineups. Like competitive is like a great score, and yeah, like we've increased the rewards, the card rewards, thanks to the essence, but also in the leaderboard compared to what we had in the previous years. And yeah, you'll always find some people who want more rewards, but at some point you can't reward thousands and thousands of lineups with more and more rewards. So yeah, now the model, as Momo said, is clearer, and everyone starts to understand like we can make it very rewarding in the in season. And if you want to, and then the classic, you can still win. You can still regularly win essence if you finish at the top, which is super hard. I recognize. You get rewarded with stars and tier 1 players. But at some point you can't always increase the rewards. Like Sorare is a game where we have scarcity and you can go above the 1000 limited we print, and that's how it is. And I've heard a lot of feedback from users, especially in super rare, and they ask for more rewards. But if you just compute the numbers, you can see you can't add more super rare cards. We've taken out super rare cards from the unique division. We have put them back in the super rare division, and so yes, we're gonna keep working on classic, but it's just that at some point you just need to do the math and see that it's just impossible to always increase the rewards. In super rare there are only 10 edition, like 10 cards per player. You can go beyond that, but there are also, you need to realize there are also less participants, so you have less competition to win cards. If you take the example of super rare in season, like I think it's the scarcity where people are the better rewarded. Like a lot of people are making like very good results on the in season super rare. Yeah, but we'll keep working on every part of the product, especially rewards, especially classic. It's just sometimes the expectations are bigger than what we can do, let's say.
Yeah. I was going to, before I get to you on super rares, I think that's one of the last questions I've got here. But on the classic kind of angle of this question, I was thinking, as we were talking, it kind of ties into maybe something we mentioned earlier, but I think when it comes to classic, like, yeah, 25% of like a bigger number is more boxes that are probably paid out there versus in season. But I know for myself playing classic, like it does feel sometimes that you're still, even with a decent score, like over 350, around the 380 mark, you could get to those kind of levels, and you're still not really in like a decent division, maybe like 2 or 1. You're maybe still not even within a sniff. And then when you look at your squad and you think, how much better could they do? You know, some players aren't capable of doing 100. Some players max out at like 70 or something like that. So I was kind of thinking when you were speaking, is there, maybe just off the cuff in your own opinion, but is there maybe room in classic? Because in season rare and limited and classic rare and limited have the same amount of divisions, but there's way different amounts of teams there, of course. Is there room for more divisions in classic, perhaps? Is that maybe a solution? An extra division in classic versus in season, potentially? I don't know.
I don't know as well. This is something we can think about, but sometimes I think there are like too many divisions, but that's just a personal opinion. Some people hate divisions, some people think there are too many. You suggested that maybe there are too few divisions for some scarcities. Yeah, I don't know, but I think managers need to also realize that when you play classic cards, like you can play them like next year, and the year after, and the year again after that. So you don't have to win big right now. Like you've got time. Of course, it's gonna get harder, but at some point we'll have an equilibrium point, let's say, where there's a lot of supply that doesn't play anymore, and there are new cards coming in. But yeah, like classic, you can still play the season after, and that's very different from lots of games. That's what makes Sorare very enjoyable. Like right now with the new model, the in season are super powerful. I agree, but after that, like you can still play, still enjoy football, playing Sorare. You can still have big moments. You can still have rewards, and that's great, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then in terms of super rare, the question I had on this was, is this as good as it gets for super rare? Which it feels like maybe the answer to that from what you've already said is yes. You know, you do the numbers on the card payouts. But there's a great comment from the chat here from Charlie saying, is there a temptation to maybe reduce the amount of super rare divisions so that, you know, the actual places that are paid out doesn't feel as shallow? I was going to ask on the super rare thing, is there scope to just put more money into it? You know, because I know the cards are obviously finite. You can only pay out so many cards. But I know for myself, like playing super rare, like there is only like 4 spots that are getting something guaranteed. Yes, you've got boxes that can come out and all the rest of it. But I think from super rare, that is the number one frustration. But it is like, it does feel like a real boom or bust situation. There's no real, like you have with rare and limited, like you might still get promoted and get a box, and that's fine. But with super rare, like the percentages are so, because the head count on the divisions is so small. So, you know, 25% of 35 is like 8 or something like that, isn't it? So, and then you've got 6 cards paid out. So 8 boxes, 8 places for promotion, 6 cards. That's like the
Yeah,
majority of that division's getting
so
zero.
it feels small. I agree. Like the number is small, but the number of participants is also small compared to limited and rare.
Yeah, no, I think like super is a scarcity where like there are few cards, so like strategy is kind of even more important than in other scarcities. You have less players, you have to differentiate, you have to have the good matchups, etc. I think it doesn't help with the perception of winning rewards, but to add to what Paul said, like the team is also currently working on analyzing data, focus groups, interviewing super rare managers, etc. So it's not like we won't do anything and it's just like that. It's about also monitoring the situation and understanding really well what is possible and what is not, and where does the frustration come from, etc. And so that if adjustments are doable to improve everything you said, they will be implemented for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I fully agree with Momo, and I wanted to add that super has always been a, maybe it's not the right word, but a tricky scarcity for us to manage. Like we were giving out rewards, super rewards in the unique division. You had the rare pro division before that, so you could play with super rare in the lower scarcity, let's say. So it's a bit tricky. Like we're doing our best, and we'll keep doing it. And yeah, we'll keep working on improving things and improving the sentiment around it. Sometimes we do special events with more rewards on for some scarcity. Like I can remember, like I think 1 month or 2 months ago, we did a super rare, and I focused the majority of the prize pool on the super rares. Like it depends. Sometimes we make super rare better. Sometimes we make limited betters. better. Sorry, and of course things are not final. Maybe next year we'll rebalance a bit how things are working and how price pools are balanced. Maybe add to the top scarcities. Maybe not, but things are not final. So we hear the feedback and we keep working. That's it.
Yeah. So I just think for myself, like I've always imagined like when Sorare kind of grows to the levels it's getting to the now, and I take myself back to being a new user like 4 years ago or whatever. I used to always imagine like the super rares and the uniques were like would become like the high roller cards or like the esport pro level kind of equivalent of what Sorare would be, if that makes sense. And I understand this year, because obviously obviously I deal with Sorare maybe more than the average user. I understand this year's there's been a big focus on the entry level part of the game. We mentioned earlier about how easy it is now to open an account and learn the basics very quickly without needing a YouTube video necessarily. Limiteds have never been more affordable. Rares are pretty affordable nowadays as well, which is all great for getting people in and getting them to love the game and all the rest of it. But I've always thought or felt that the super rare and the unique probably as well go with this, but they would be eventually the one where it's like, wow, you've got them, you're playing at the top table, the rewards there are incredible, and it's and again, who knows where the game develops over the years, but maybe that's then like how you would be like an esports or pro so rare player, if you get me. It's like you've got that level of card because you're at that level of competition with that level of rewards, and it feels like maybe because of all the attention at the entry level stuff, it is just a bit neglected. And that's why I kind of said like maybe it's just more money, because I know the cards are limited and nobody wants you to change the scarcity numbers. Everyone's really happy with that, and I think everyone realizes like, yeah, there is only 10 of them. They have to sell some, so there's only some that are left for rewards. That's fine. But yeah, that's just why money came into my mind, is just like because that's something maybe there's a bit more freedom to put on, like maybe more podiums or something. I don't know, but yeah, that was just my 2 cents. What have you seen on what scores are required to win a tier 2 or above on the new format versus the old format? And I think the reason this came to is because like tier 3s are definitely like a good reward, especially with Momo when you were telling us your experiences. Like a tier 3 can definitely like get you going all of a sudden. I think when people start winning tier 2s, that's when they get excited. Like I've got a tier 2, I've got a tier 1 this week. So has there been anything you've noticed, maybe through Essence, maybe through the division system, that the score required or the amount of people that are winning these types of cards has had some sort of change for the better?
Well, I think first on scores, but that we all know that there are like some game weeks, really high scoring game weeks. We saw that on a few weekends where like Bayern, City, Real Madrid, and Barcelona all win their game 4-0, and yeah, we see that in these specific cases, like the scores required to win a reward are really high, and that happened. But there are also other game weeks where it's quite the opposite, and we witness that too. We also have something to keep in mind, which is the change in the captain bonus, because that's like significant now that you have this 50% captain bonus. That means that like scores are higher in average than in the old system, which is also something to keep in mind where we compare like the scores with the old system. And
Collection bonus.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Like collection bonus, like we have more completed collections. We have the XP bonus too. That with time it goes up and up, because some people have now cards for 2 or 3 seasons, so their scores is also boosted thanks to that. So all of this participate in like having higher scores in classic, especially. But I don't think that it has become harder to win a tier 2 than with the old format. I think, as I mentioned, with Essence especially, I think it's even the opposite. Like that the new gameplay is more rewarding, and that Essence has really revolutionized the way you can win cards, because now it means that really everyone can progress to win this tier 2 reward, whereas it could have taken much more time in the old system to finally get this tier 2. So
And you can even win the tier 2 much faster by trying your luck at tier 5 craft, and you get a tier 0, tier 1, tier
Yeah.
10 card.
With one box, maybe one lineup, one box can be enough for you to win this tier 3.
Definitely can. Harry Trades was telling me yesterday that somebody jumped onto his channel comments, and I think they played Rivals, won a 3-win streak, and they got Saka out of it. They had 0 cards.
That's
You
too
know.
much. That's too much.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely can happen.
I paid for my Saka, and I hate to see those things.
I think we all have a wee bit of that Schadenfreude, don't we? When you see that, like, bugger, that could have been me. Awesome. That's kind of all the questions we had like pre-prepared or whatever. Nothing else has really sprang to mind for me to bring up off the back of what we've mentioned so far. Is there anything you guys would like to bring up, or anything that I didn't touch on that you thought we would have at this stage? Sorry.
No, there's one little thing I wanted to add to the tier 2 discussion. Like, is it hard to win a tier 2? Like, I feel maybe it's a bit harder to win sometimes than before. Of course, there are more users, and also the fact that thresholds are gone. I hope we won't talk about it for years and years, but now it's really a game like players versus players, and you need to beat the field. Doesn't matter how many people are entering the competition, and so that's just how the game is right now. But I think overall managers are accepting it and they're pretty, let's say, smart about it. Like, it's just a different game than the one you signed up 5 years ago, I think, or 4 years ago. And even myself, when I joined the company, it was completely different. The teams were different, the game was different, the product too, and we're just evolving and improving every year. But I'm pretty confident in saying that the game is better now than it was. Like, of course, a lot of things have changed. Some decisions were not as good as people expected to be, but overall, it's much more stable now and much more enjoyable.
But Magic guys, I say that's kind of everything from me. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in for this live. Momo and Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Quinny, for the invite and for the discussion. It was great, and thanks also for everything you do with your content and for the community. It's great, and appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Same for me, and it was a very exciting first experience, like first podcast in English. Not an easy job, but I hope you understood what we said and that the accent isn't that terrible.